Alright, we're back in Nurnen. Since we need to actually start the quest line of the Spirit of Carnan, so we need to talk to Big Leafy Mommy.
What a beautiful sunset. Also, hopefully she won't attack us this time.
Hopefully. Well, we kind of demonstrated to be both strong, and capable of, trying to, repel a bit the Balrog, Gorgoroth. Hopefully.
She acts so weird. Half of the time she helps us, half of the time it feels like she tries to kill us.
It's a true neutral kind of spirit, Jova, in a sense that she cares specifically just about the nature thing. She will help Talion, if that means getting rid of, the orcs and the Valor that she considers are poisoning the area, but she's still protective of her territory.
You have sacrificed much.
Long afore, buried was Targorath by Carnan in Dune Shadow. Aghast, my forest destroyed, my brood scattered.
Boy, where was she at Treebeard's convention?
Remember, apparently all the Antwives migrated to the east, and from what the devs seem to have hinted, because he's technically a regional character, she might be more than just an Antwife. Probably, as Casilbium mentioned, a bigger, kind of spirit.
Oh my.
It was an Uruk in Gorgoroth.
Yeah, Zog.
Zog.
The necromancer. We need to get back to that guy.
Of Targorath, he... Death's midwife.
That's an elegant term to say that, Zog is essentially the Balrog's bitch. Because Zog has the illusion of wanting to gain control of the demon, but, yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
First age demon, yeah, no one can. Not even Sauron can, technically.
Dang.
A lot of Lord of the Rings themed video game love to have for the orc faction as an ultimate kind of summonable thing, kind of like the Balrog, thematically having a powerful unit on the team, But on a lower level, no, not really. It doesn't work like that.
And honor your sacrifice.
Simp.
Wood.
She's a tree.
Again, Dwibs. They already made a spider sexy. Do you really put it past them to make a tree sexy?
Too much splinters.
Yeah.
I'm sure she can make certain parts softer if need be.
I know that. I'm pretty sure Celebrimbor doesn't give a shit because he's a ghost anyway, but that's going into pathways into darkness that we don't really want to for now.
But seriously though, first a sexy spider, then a sexy tree. What's next? A sexy volcano?
I'm pretty sure.
Jova, don't give whatever the next don't give whatever the next gacha game is any ideas.
Didn't Yooka-Laylee had a sexy volcano or something? I forgot.
Huh. I don't recall.
I mean, they made a gacha game about battleships. What's off limits at this point?
Nothing.
They also made an anime where creatures from the Cthulhu Lovecraftian mythos are anime schoolgirls. Yes.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see Medusa as student council president.
Oh, look, making Medusa sexy, like, I've seen that in several different animes, shows, and gachas, like, hell.
Alright, for this mission, what we need to... The core of this questline will essentially be purification. Zog has decided to plant a bunch of totems that he uses to harness necromantic energy, and as such, we need to work on that dealing with him.
I'm guessing Zog is one of those orcs constantly set in his appearance.
Yes.
I'm Zog, and I've been watching you for some time. You're the inspiration for all this. What better army to defeat a dead man than a legion of undead orcs?
But yeah, no, like, I mean, seriously. Hell, even Nintendo pretty much gave Medusa a beauty update. Like, compare how she looks in the original Kid
Also to
Icarus
Pandora.
game. Huh?
Also to Pandora in the same game.
Oh yeah, definitely, Pandora. Like, I tell you, Kid Icarus Uprising definitely shows that Sakurai is a man of good taste.
And if you want something more on the beef side, there's, I forgot, the character voiced by Troy Baker, the Sun God.
Ah, yeah, guy who has a giant
mentions,
sword and
Fighting
everything.
the future. The dead will take Mordor for themselves. And
Sir,
not even
you're a
you
little crazy even by our standards. I think we need to put you down.
There's more fun to come.
Oh, you little...
Coward. Yeah, that's,
Of
again,
course,
that's Zog's
typical of
trick.
mages.
He keeps running away until we actually can catch him, but the important part is we need to actually purify the totem. And it's a problem because, again, Zog's magic seems to be working for the most part, because unless you decapitate them or, you know, make them pop up like this, the orcs that you actually kill will actually get reanimated, you know, as proper undead. So you need to purify this column of dark energy.
That
whatever you wanna
does
call it.
present a problem for us, yeah. Come on. There you go.
Thankfully, the undeads can actually be completely one-shot killed by using the same moves that we used to recruit other enemies. So there's that.
So that's Fan Four Stick's version of Doctor Doom's power.
Oh my god. That movie really is just a marvel in all the wrong ways.
Ah.
I think that was the catalyst for Rupert Murdoch to just say, "Fuck this, I've had enough."
That would be interesting, seeing as how that movie was made for Fox to try and capitalize on the rights of Fantastic Four, keeping them
Or
away
we
from
capitalize
Disney.
out of spite and not wanting Marvel to Disney to get them fully.
Which
Yeah,
is...
now look what's happened.
well, yeah, that's what would make it ironic if that movie was the catalyst for Murdoch putting Fox up for sale.
Alright, for this mission, tied to still this questline, we're gonna play some Panzer Dragoon, believe it or not.
Oh.
They rise! Archers of Morgoth, let fly! Busy are the slaves of Zog. Fly, we must fly! Arise in haste!
Yes, I know. I gotta fly. Stop
Just-
telling me that.
She loves to speak in
say
haikus,
please.
yeah, like, you don't need to see everything in a haiku, miss. We get that you're an old-fashioned formal goddess and all that, but come on
Essentially,
now.
For this mission, you know, Zog is raising an archer battalion from the first stage, and since this one actually were relatively good, it's best if we actually put them on ice now. There we go. It's mildly fun. The problem is that you don't really have a way to replenish the health of your mount. So, you know, you need to still watch out because these are still archers and, you know, the game is programmed to actually then trying to be relatively accurate in trying to kill you if you are on a flying mount like a Drake.
I will say, I find it a bit weird that from what is clearly a plant creation, we blow ice.
That's one of the entire gimmicks, the fact that, you know, the spirit that represents nature still has relatively sufficient enough power to have more stuff than what you'd expect.
Interesting.
And again, the entire reason why she doesn't really rise to the occasion more than that, it's mostly because she is very protective of her own minor territory.
Basically, stay out of her swamp.
Basically, yes. Has anyone actually even, you know, tried to see what it ended up being of that game that was being developed for the 360 but then got retooled for the Kinect on the Xbox One, Crimson Dragon?
Wait, hold on. Crimson Dragon, didn't that,
It was supposed to be essentially the spiritual successor of Panzer Dragoon. I remember when it was in development for the 360, but then it was retooled for the launch window of the Xbox One.
Yeah.
But it was made a Kinect exclusive, and that was what killed it, basically. But I don't know actually what the game, you know, how the game looks, performs, or what it's about, even.
If I recall correct... Okay. Praise was given for its core gameplay and art design and its graphical quality. However, oh, wait. Never mind. Actually, it was the graphical quality and progression systems that saw frequent criticism. Apparently, the core gameplay and art design were praised, but the graphical quality was apparently left something to be desired, going off of most critiques from it. That being said, I mean, how much of this has to do with it may or may not be with the Kinect? That said,
possibly the controls.
That said, it did come to Xbox One, so I guess at the very least they had to provide a means to play it without having to use the Kinect. Oh, okay, here it is. It can be controlled with a standard gamepad or the console's Kinect peripheral. So it's basically your own preference.
I know that a couple of games, unfortunately, were complete Kinect exclusive, like a fighting game that Ubisoft made for them called Fighter Within, which is horrible. There you go. Which apparently was a tradition that they continued from, they were continuing from the 360 days, because if I remember, Kadika was reviewing one of them that was for the 360 for their Kinect. So there is that, but this one was for the launch window of the Xbox One, but not many people even cared about. Most, when it came to clowning on the Kinect for the Xbox One, most people were talking specifically instead about
the thing spying on you.
Well, yeah, mostly that, because not even a title, because when you think of most talked Kinect games, you think mostly on the 360 one, Star Wars Kinect, Dragon Ball Z Kinect, Steel Battalion,
Sonic Free Riders,
and for maybe a good example, the Gunstringer instead. But for the Xbox One, I don't really remember much in terms of, you know, bad games with Kinect controls.
Well, the thing what happened is that Kinect was, the Xbox One was so wildly hated, and literally not even a year into the console's life cycle, Phil came in, took over, and ordered for stopping the production of all Kinect-related stuff. So the Kinect of the Xbox One didn't really have a time to properly get a catalog.
This is partly due to the fact that Microsoft were going in full-on panic mode when the original Xbox One was announced and hated, partly due to the fact that it had a jacked-up price because Kinect was required with it. Microsoft said there was no way they could do it without the Kinect. And then not too long afterward, oh, here are Kinectless versions of the Xbox One.
I'm more curious and surprised the fact that the Killer Instinct did not, somehow got tangled into the Kinect in some way.
Oh god, a fighting game using...
I already told you, Jova, Ubisoft did one called Fighter Within, and it's exactly as bad as you can imagine.
Did we have people actually Did we have people accidentally punching each other? Wow.
Not that I do know. I remember back when Angry Joe did a video on it, but I don't even know if it's still up or not.
What about the game with the most epic advertisement for a Kinect game? Dragon Ball Z for Kinect.
Again, the entire reason why people bought that was just to see what the new OVA is about. And spoiler, it was just as bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're done here.
Cleanse them with fire, but you were spouting ice breath.
Well, for future missions, that's what she told us to do.
I know.
Become a super sign.
We must find him before he raises his own army.
Imagine that, Zog being the main threat to Mordor.
Alright, so some of these mission requires you to do, much like in one of the DLCs of the first game, command some of the wild fauna for it. Again, one thing that they brought back from that are units of the wild fauna that spews elemental type of, attacks, rather than just being, big monsters that punch eventually really hard. So at least that's pretty cool. In this case, what we need to do is to find the ghoul mounds and not only crush them properly, but repel enough ghouls. It's a bit more annoying than you may think, especially because you need to go a bit back and forward between, these areas in Gorgoroth.
Now, thank goodness that the plant-based things aren't weak to fire like the Knack game would. Well, you just know that in a NAC game we would have had the wood power-up, of course, in the lava area.
Because that makes
Sounds
sense.
like you. Sounds like you love that.
I forgot. Well, I'm pretty sure that via laws of probability it had it, but I forgot. Did the first deck had the ice power up instead in the lava area?
It did have the ice power-up, but it didn't have any special ice powers. No, that was only until the second NAC
Oh no,
game.
I'm talking about in an area where it was counterproductive and had the natural weakness of that.
Yes, because, well, I think it was like you melted as soon as you were in sunlight with the ice power-up.
Yes, I remember that now. Yes, God.
Like, again, that's the thing about NEC. Even the supposed power-ups did not feel like...
And even so, it's one thing for balancing, but why applying rules of realism in a cartoony platformer like that? I mean, to this kind of degree. I get it, but you still need to, establish some ground rules, but overkilling much?
My best guess is like, well, the game would be piss easy without those holding you back, so it's their way to implement difficulty.
Like in that case.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Astro's Playroom showcase that it can be used as a good advertisement mechanism. So that would have been perfect for the launch window of the PS4.
Oh, I absolutely agree that honestly, look, it's more important to be fun than it is to be difficult. It's just that some companies like to up the difficulty to extend later.
That's an entire different kind of thing. I was talking specifically in terms of, applying those kind of rules for intended difficulty, Again, a game with a confident enough team behind it will be able to balance out the gameplay enough to, if they so desire, provide difficulty with a means to actually circumvent that.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, trust me.
I was mostly talking about, doing something in came to NAC that wasn't, as obtuse as, applying a rule of realism that really didn't need it, rather than, potentially having instead, like, I don't know, in this squad of enemies, one of them is supposed to actually speed fire, which, you are weak to, so that's your priority target, potentially, and then you have to decide, should I prioritize this big target or instead trim the lines of the enemies, something like that. Very basic stuff.
I agree. Like, trust me, you're preaching to the choir on that. The problem with NAC in general is just that almost its entire gameplay design is counterintuitive to the player actually having fun.
Yeah.
Like, you scale up, enemies scale up with you. You constantly die in 2 hits in that game. Any power-ups you get feel like power downs half the time because more or less you'll only get those power-ups in places where, of course, there's the blatant weakness to your power.
I forgot, aside from helping with developing the PS5, what has Mark Cerny been up to these days?
That's a Pinto. He hasn't, after the failure of the NAC games, he seems to have resigned to just being a console engineer at this point.
Alas.
Ah, well, he rolled the dice.
It's not like other creators, at least, where they just leave altogether. I mean, he's still at PlayStation.
And I'll give him credit,
Yeah.
like, he was a good...
He's handling everything involving the hardware at this point.
I'll give him credit, he was a good sport about NAC. Like, he didn't go on a raid saying, oh, you players just don't understand,
People
you
don't
entitled
get me,
morons and all that. Like, nah, he took the NAC jokes with grace and all that. Again, honestly...
Alright, speaking of instead bias difficult, go on.
I found your answer too. He was an executive producer on Marvel Spider-Man, Death Stranding, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. And he's probably, it doesn't say here, but I'm guessing he's probably an executive producer on Marvel Spider-Man 2 as well.
Yeah.
So basically
nifty.
right now he's helping PlayStation Studios
On the sidelines.
when it comes to handling stuff with the PS. Like, my guess is to every time the developers have some kind of my guess is to every time the developers have some kind of doubt or issue with the hardware, they can go to Mark and certain things out.
All right, we were speaking about obtuse decisions. Who wants now escort mission?
Wait, what? For who?
More of a tower. Okay, more tower defense. Ideally, you have to essentially purify the totems, but then you will actually have to defend the The hut, the place where the Spirit of Carnan resides.
Well, I
Over
guess
there.
because the
But
forest is...
it's the kind of it's the kind of tower defense slash escort mission that's on the annoying side. Not necessarily difficult per se, just very annoying in what you have to do. It's the kind of ones that removes a bit the fun.
I'm guessing, like, the idea is, like, because the forest is burning and she's tied to it, that's
Yeah,
kind of
Zog
putting
is
a
said to
damper on
retaliate
her.
for all the totems we have been crushing, so... The flashing that you see is a perk that I have from one of the equipment. But essentially, every time I manage to perform a specific action, that kind of flashing happens, and I'm considered in stealth for a couple of seconds, so the enemies cannot see me, and I can potentially perform like a stealth kill if I want. But I can also use this to my advantage to actually, purify the totem with other people, being alerted of me.
Up you go.
Again, I'm at the very least glad that we made all of these extra knickknacks to improve on the mobility, because now you really have to traverse a lot of terrains, and normally you will have a lot of problems. If I remember correctly, that's one of the things that people were not particularly liking of something like The Witcher 3, more in a sense that your fast travel options were relatively limited, and in order to traverse from one place or another, it required a bit of time even with your steed, Roach.
I get the feeling too. What happened was Mark decided to stick to what he's best at nowadays.
Sure. I mean, again, part of me morbidly desires to see what the eventual, direction the story would have taken.
Me too.
What? Oh, right.
Like discovering his origins more properly or some shit like that.
I guess, but honestly, there's way too much of a lack of interest.
Yeah.
Oh, look, if there was any interest, that interest has probably died down en masse. Now, it's been like, how long since Snack 2 came out?
A while and a half.
It came out in 2017, so yeah.
6 years.
And when it comes to, fucking hell. And when it comes to, the Sony, people these days are more, preoccupied in wanting, other existing IPs to be revived rather than that, and I can understand it.
I'll admit, I'm not really that too bummed about it because it's Knack we're talking about, but I'll admit, a part of me does kind of wish the series could have at least gotten a
curiosity more than anything, but you still have to make money out of the game as well.
At this point,
yeah.
At this point, I'm just looking forward to Team Azobi's new Astrobot game, because that's going to be much better anyway.
I think the guys I gotta feel the most sorry for, though, are Japan Studio. Like, again, going off of interviews, it sounds like they were the ones more so pleading for a second game than Mark Cerny himself, even. Just because they wanted something to do.
That's the thing, like, Japan Studio was being poorly treated by Sony for a while now.
And that's why it bled people even before the shutdown.
Like even before Jim Ryan came along, Sean Layden was already, like, don't get me wrong, I don't Jim Ryan is terrible and good thing he's done, but Sean Layden was not a saint.
Oh yeah, no, like, look, Sean Layden. Yes, people tend to think fondly of him because of, stuff like the PS4 and, of course, getting back Crash, but the guy had a ton of flaws.
Oh, kid.
The forest has been cleared. They will not be back.
Cursed.
Fortunately, she has spent a lot of energies to try to, to resist.
Which I guess means either she'll die or she'll become corrupted.
Well, she's just very tired.
I just need to sit down for a minute.
Put ear to earth and heed. Brothers of corruption hold gloaming vigil. Fire will rise from ice.
Okay, this is why I never
But
really
guys,
liked
I don't
the
understand. What do you get when you combine fire and ice?
Steam.
He must be.
Okay, so clearly what we need to do is look for the Steam release.
I mean, I guess it might happen. It's still a Sega IP for when it comes to Sonic Boom.
The long winter calls my name. Forests of Carnan must rest in dwell.
Essentially, what the Spirit of Carnan told you is that Zog is gonna try to be a dipshit and try to resurrect the Balrog from the Lake of Ice in which we imprisoned it a couple of parts ago. You know?
Oh, good lord.
We need to stop him before that happens.
Go now.
I don't feel so good.
Wow, she really is dying.
Like one of the new animes from this year that I really like, My Tiny Senpai, they also do an Avengers Infinity War joke.
Look, like Avengers.
Basically, there's a guy who loves to ship his co-workers, and when he sees two of them getting along, he starts evaporating, not into ash like in Infinity War, but into sugar.
Like, I mean,
Red's
pretty funny. Such a pretty funny.
Red Dwarf did the whole "I don't feel too well" thing, and well, he didn't vanish into a puff of smoke or anything, but they thought they killed their creator, and one of them was like, "I don't feel too well," and that happened. That was in 2009.
To be perfectly honest with you, Teo, considering they refused to give us a re-release of Sonic Unleashed, what chance does Fire and Ice have?
It's more of a case of, the fandom has better priorities for now. Anyway, time to finally deal with Zog. And yes, this is another occasion for Nolan to start screaming his lungs out for something. Why not?
So, arrow him?
Yoink.
You will not foul the ritual. Targoroth will rise, but not for Sauron. He will fight in my army, a legion of the dead that will rival any army of Mordor. You will hear them when they come, for they will chant my name, Zog.
I mean, hey, more money for the voice actor, I guess.
Neo before Zog.
Basically.
He's gonna charge money for what?
This fight is also relatively difficult, and I probably decided to tackle it a bit too earlier than I probably should, but might as well try.
So is this what Zog from Astro Boy 2009 looked like before he became a soul and a robot?
Damn. Especially because not only you had to defeat Zog, but you also had to purify all of the totem. And Zog clearly doesn't want to just stay idle and let you do that.
Yeah. But to get back to the previous point, it's one of those things where it's just like, don't get me wrong, Sean Lennon did some really cool stuff here and there, like the medieval remake was apparently a bad project of his. Yeah. But remember, he was there for the PS3 debacle.
Yes,
so
yes, he was.
He himself was not a saint. Let's face it.
Again, if anything, there's more to say that aside from Nintendo, most of the big three did not really have, a good leader in a long while.
Like
I will argue, well, it's nowhere near as bad as the Xbox One and the PS3 debacles that Sony and I will argue the way they revealed the Wii U was definitely Nintendo's closest to a moment like that, because
sure. Well, I think that the people in charge managed to bounce back better.
Oh yeah. It's just that, if you go back and look at the reveal of the Wii U, they don't even tell you it's a console. They made it look like it's a controller for the Wii.
Yeah.
And now you know people why the Wii U failed, because a lot of people didn't even realize it was a new console.
Again,
although I think that the one that takes absolutely the cake on that matter for the exact thing that you mentioned, Pedro, probably has got to be instead Google Stadia.
Oh,
because
good lord.
It was very confusing how they actually talked and presented about it, to the point where people thought it was supposed to be an actual console, but then Google went around and said, the future is not a box.
What about the Ouya?
What about the Ouya?
Yeah, what about the Ouya? But it's interesting you say that, Theo, because let's see if you know your gaming history too. What do the PS4 debacle, the Xbox One debacle, and the Google Stadia debacle have in common?
The Lex Luthor lookalike guy.
Phil Harrison.
Yes, he was there for all three of those.
Wait.
Basically the
Yeah.
Pepe Silvia of video game companies.
I just don't get it. How is he also involved in the Ouya too? Like, the Ouya seems pretty small compared to like
Wasn't
PS.
Ouya also a crowdfunded project?
Hey Joe.
I'm sorry, what?
Wasn't the Ouya a crowdfunded project anyway?
I'm not too familiar with the Ouya, so you might wanna.
I guess my question is, what was a big shot like Phil Harrison doing involved with the Ouya of all things?
I don't know.
When he had done stuff like, you
Like,
know, the PlayStation and later Xbox.
I'll paraphrase you a joke from a skit that we have over here, Jova. I'm applying for this project for 3 reasons. One, this project needs a leader. Second, we need competition. Third, I need a job.
Alright, time to finish this.
You've done it. You killed me. But let me tell you,
You killed me!
Good.
never truly die.
I know, it's so annoying.
Let's test that theory, shall we? How did that not break the ice?
I'm just that good, question mark.
I guess you are. You are.
It just has the ragdoll pose, I love it.
She
Make
has.
you like one of your French girls.
I love how they say that while the mooks are still standing about us. Like, I know it's a real-time cutscene, but that kind of
But
makes
we're
it...
not done yet. There's one last mission for this quest line, because Minas Morgul now seems to have a lot of orc activity for some reason.
Uh-oh. That can't be good.
No. Thankfully the Nazguls will stay away from this, but it seems again, at the Colosseum something is happening. Continue, Joe, in the meantime.
When it comes to the people who got praised with Sony on the PS4, and don't get me wrong, the PS4 itself is a good system, I do get the feeling, though, that Sony definitely had a big advantage that they were not doing what Microsoft did. Like, Microsoft were making such a crap show that, you know, just going against their ideals got a ton of praise.
Not even just that, Jova. Remember, up until the Switch came along, the PS4 was basically running unopposed. Like, the Xbox One was not moving units pretty much. The Wii U was also not moving units. The PS4 was literally running unopposed.
No, like, the
for
PS4, the PS4 was like the second coming of the PS2. In like how much a juggernaut it was, and again,
yeah, it actually reached like 120 million by this point.
There you go. It seems that Zog's acolytes brought his corpse and
no,
revive it.
Oh my god! Do we have to burn your body next time?
Just behead him.
Look at him, back at his new. All that's different really is the green eyes. I love how the mooks are just walking around.
Because a lot of them are undead.
Yeah, they're not exactly. Their attention span isn't exactly very high.
All right, time to put him back in the ground.
I think Nolan North had too much fun voicing this character.
The arena is stocked with dead.
And here's the thing, you still have to purify the totems, but in this it's more of a stealth mission because there's a bit of a thing that I haven't mentioned about. For this mission alone, Zog revives a bunch of captains that you have killed specifically around the world, and some of these you might have seen them occasionally among the previous parts, but others are people I don't on screen. So you're literally bound to see a lot of familiar faces here.
Oh boy. And I'm guessing they're not too happy to see you.
Well, they're undead, so they're more mindless, but it's more the shock factor than anything. Think of it kind of a bit like the event of Blackest Night, just without them being that conscious and taunting you.
It's weird because...
Here it is, Jova. Like, to keep this on not going dated, like, 8 days before the time that we're recording this, here's an IGN article talking about console sales, and right now the PS4 is at 117.2 million. So, yeah, nearly. I only missed by 3 million units in my estimation. So.
Going back to what you were saying about the death thing, it's weird because we have seen orcs that were revived but still have their minds.
Well, that's just cheating death. In this case, it's being revived from being dead.
Okay.
It's very different.
I guess the thing is like, well, they cheat death even with their heads lobbed off,
yeah,
so...
the is here too.
Oh, great, your nemesis.
Well, not exactly. Well, one nemesis, I suppose, but yes, like I said, a couple of familiar faces.
But yeah, I mean, so like, though, like, again, there have been some that have had their heads chopped off, but then also cheated death, so like, so what's the main difference in that regard, like them coming back from pretty much life-ending injuries?
Cheating death is meaning managing to not actually die, because, you know, the wound has been stitched or healed properly. Being raised from the dead means that they actually died, but you know, an act of necromancy has managed to revive the corpse. Its contrast is distinguished by having glowing green eyes and not the ability to speak, like this.
You said a mouthful there, son.
It contributes to an intentional uncanny valley factor that's there to scare you.
Oh, I wonder, do they speak backwards?
No, it's more of either they do not have a voice at all, but they still have the model prompt in wanting to move their mouths, or they really are like raspy or don't even formulate concrete words.
So, I wonder, in the case that, say, someone survives a beheading, do they just will the head to stay alive until it gets stitched back?
Usually it's stitched. Apparently someone managed to catch it in time and stitch it, you know, so that the body will not die. Don't ask me how that shit works.
Orcs be petty like that.
You will actually, like he promised Jove even in the previous game, you will see an example eventually.
Wow, that must be interesting. I have a new lease on life now that my head is stitched back. I know, I'm gonna go after the same guy who cut it off in the first place.
Sometimes people can be, you know, very brave or foolish or both.
That is true.
It also depends because, you know, some of the orcs who will survive what will be mortal wounds will potentially gain a new title in their Death Defiancy, you know, and as a result will become even more dangerous.
That being said, no, No, Jove has a point, because I actually, like, if you actually look it up, if you actually compare both launch lineups, the PS5 actually had a much better launch lineup. The PS4 only had, like, Killzone, Shadowfall, and what else too?
Infamous Second Son.
Yeah.
Oh, that was 2014, like, it wasn't, like, there for launch, was it?
No, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Something else. And unfortunately, Killzone Shadowfall is what killed the franchise.
There you go, the first snack.
and had Guerrilla moving on to Horizon.
Yeah. Look. But the PS5 actually launched with a much better lineup with Astro's Playroom, Miles Morales, the Demon Souls remake, Sackboy's Adventure. So that actually, but the PS4 definitely has benefited from the lack of competition at first.
Mm-hmm. More, you know. Again, the thing that we need to take from this is that unfortunately a lineup like the PS2 will probably never happen again.
No,
it was literally a lightning in the bottle. And yeah, that's what I mean, Jova. Sometimes the orc are programmed to actually do the proper intro, for long as it is, but because they're undead, they even have no voice whatsoever, like in this guy, or potentially, you know, just being completely raspy and unintelligible.
Is it just me?
Where did the sound go? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, okay. Was that a glitch or something?
No, it was intentional.
Really?
Huh.
Yes, for the undeads to do this, yes.
So I wonder
again,
why
it's intentional to make an uncanny valley factor to as a psychological mechanism, and now we have to deal again with Zog.
I wonder why he's able to talk just fine when being necromancer.
He's just that special, Drova.
Of course he is. Believes he has a special destiny and everything.
Yeah.
You understand now, don't you? The dead aren't dead. They're just waiting for someone who will listen, who will answer their call. Once you're out of the way, we will all rise again.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Lovely.
Yeah, I was about to say, we interrupt you this Lord of the Rings game to provide you Blackest Night. Like, seriously, what the fuck?
Cue the on-screen. Sorry, go on.
Like, holy cow, this guy and his soliloquies.
It kind of reminds me, again, I will try to mention it without too much context because it's slightly spoilery. It's kind of like one of the routes of Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together, but normally supposed to be these, very heavily political conflict between, different factions with their own army. A bit like a la Fire Emblem, admittedly, but in potentially one of the routes that you can get, out of fucking nowhere, this necromancer guy shows up and starts a zombie apocalypse.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a blast. And now with the release as a Tactics Ogre Reborn, it is an on full British voice cast for a change. Ow. I also need to watch out because I'm actually, running out of second chances, so if someone kills me here, I will have to do the entire mission again, and I don't want that. Thankfully, since after you cleanse all the totems, only he remains and all of his acolytes, you are able to actually try to potentially do something like, say, gangbang him with your bodyguards.
That's the missing seventh Lord of the Rings movie. Lord of the Rings, gangbanging the enemy.
Kill me, Ranger. I will wait among the dead. Then we will all rise together.
Are you coming on to me?
Decline.
Like, Jesus, it sounds like the guy is just, at this point, taking on Stockholm
But
Syndrome.
hey, at the very least, we will never see Zog ever again.
Behead him, you idiot!
Just as a point, like, not beheading him almost seems like you're just
And yeah,
daring
this
him
also
to come
tell
back.
you, oh, by the way, the Spirit of Carnan is still alive, don't worry.
Oh! So... what? Oh wait, now you can breathe fire?
No, it's poison gas, poison fire, veil fire, basically.
So what was
Also, like I told you, Jova, she was just tired and needed to rest.
It's weird because they talk about her sacrifice and shooted it like a death scene or something, like...
It's more of a case where, she will still be present, but it will, not in a capacity to be very effective for the war effort. Again,
Okay.
otherwise it would explain why she... wouldn't explain why she didn't do nothing during the War of the Ring. Anyway, that's it for this questline. Tune in for the next part, where we start a two-parter, because, yes, the war efforts are just becoming that big, when I need to eventually try to conquer the region of Gorgoroth. See you then.
Fun.